in the depths of ancient Japanese forests, where mist clings to cedar trees and shadows dance between moonbeams, there exists a creature of extraordinary cunning and mystical power. Neither fully animal nor entirely spirit, the kitsune stands at the crossroads between the mortal world and the divine realm, a shapeshifter whose very presence has captivated the Japanese imagination for over 1,000 years. These are not ordinary foxes that dart through underbrush and steal chickens from farms. No, the kitsune are beings of profound intelligence, wielding magical abilities that grow with each passing century of their existence. They can take human form with such perfection that even the wisest person might be deceived. They can create illusions so convincing that entire mansions appear from nothing, only to vanish with the morning light. They serve as messengers of the gods themselves, yet they also delight in tricks and mischief that can humble the mightiest emperor. Today, we're diving deep into the world of Kitsune mythology, exploring these fox spirits who have enchanted Japan for centuries and whose influence has spread across the globe. From benevolent guardians to cunning tricksters, from faithful wives to destructive demons, the kitsune embody a duality that reflects the very complexity of existence itself. The story of the kitsune begins in the mists of time, woven into the very fabric of Japan's cultural identity. The word kitsune itself carries mysteries within its syllables. Some scholars believe it originated as onomatopoeia, with kitsu representing the sharp yelp of a fox echoing through mountain valleys. The suffix ne might have been an affectionate term, or perhaps referred to servants of Inari shrines. However, the oldest known written usage of the word appears in texts from the year 794, in a document called the Shinyaku Kegankyo Ongishiki. Other ancient sources include the Nihon Ryoiki from 810 to 824, and the Wamyo Ruijisho from around 934. These texts, written in an ancient writing system, reveal that but the kitsune's origins extend beyond Japan's shores. The concept of magical foxes raveled along ancient trade routes from China and Korea, bringing with them centuries of accumulated folklore. In China, fox spirits known as hulijing had already established themselves as powerful supernatural entities capable of transformation and trickery. Korean legends spoke of kumiho, nine-tailed foxes, with their own distinct characteristics and stories. When Buddhism entered Japan in the 6th century, it brought tales from its sutras about yakan, creatures described as wild dogs or jackals with cunning shape-shifting abilities. Since Japan had no native jackals, the fox became the natural stand-in for these Buddhist mythological creatures. Thus, the deeds attributed to evil jackals in Buddhist scripture were absorbed into Japanese folklore, with foxes taking center stage. The relationship between foxes and humans in ancient Japan was intimate and complex. Before urbanization and industrialization transformed the landscape, when most Japanese people worked as farmers tending rice fields, foxes were constant neighbors. They lived in the forests and fields surrounding human settlements, and their presence was a daily reality rather than a distant myth. This proximity bred familiarity, but also bred mystery. Farmers noticed that foxes ate the rats and mice that threatened their precious rice crops, protecting harvests that meant the difference between prosperity and starvation. This practical benefit elevated foxes to a sacred status in agricultural communities. However, foxes could also be pests themselves, stealing food and killing livestock. This dual nature as both helper and hindrance, protector and threat, set the stage for the complex mythology that would develop around these creatures. They were simultaneously revered and feared, respected and mistrusted, a contradiction that would come to define the kitsune in all its mythological expressions. When you encounter a kitsune, you might first see what appears to be an ordinary red fox, its fur gleaming in sunlight filtering through tree branches. But look closer, Is there something too intelligent in those eyes? Does the creature seem to be watching you with an awareness that goes beyond animal instinct? The kitsune begins life much like any normal fox, but that's where the similarity ends. According to the mythology, these magical creatures accumulate power through the simple passage of time. Every 100 years of life grants a kitsune something remarkable, a new tail. Imagine the significance of this transformation. A young kitsune, perhaps only a century old, sports just 2 tails instead of the single brush of an ordinary fox. This marks them as something extraordinary, a being that has transcended normal fox existence. As the centuries roll by like waves upon the shore, more tails emerge. 5 tails indicate a kitsune of considerable age and power. 7 tails command respect from both humans and yokai alike. But the ultimate achievement, the pinnacle of kitsune existence, comes with the 9th tail. A 9-tailed kitsune, called a kyubi no kitsune, has lived for at least 900 years, possibly much longer. These ancient beings possess wisdom accumulated across centuries and magical powers that border on the omnipotent. But the tail count isn't the only physical transformation. As a kitsune ages and gains tails, its fur undergoes remarkable changes. The young fox's red coat gradually shifts, taking on golden hues that shimmer like precious metal. Eventually, when the creature reaches the heights of its power, the fur transforms completely into brilliant white or gleaming gold. A white or golden 9-tailed fox represents the ultimate form, a creature so powerful that it can be considered divine. Some legends speak of these ancient foxes ascending to the heavens after 1,000 years of life, becoming celestial foxes called tenko, who dwell in the realm of the gods themselves. Yet for all their power, kitsune possess a critical vulnerability. Each kitsune carries with them a hoshi no tama, which translates as star ball. This luminous sphere, glowing with an inner light that ranges from pearl white to iridescent colors, contains nothing less than the kitsune's soul. Without it, a kitsune weakens rapidly and will eventually die. When in human form, kitsune typically wear their hoshi no tama as an amulet or pendant, keeping their life force close to their transformed body. In fox form, they carry the precious ball in their mouths or secure it to their tails. If someone manages to steal a kitsune's star ball, they gain tremendous leverage over the creature. The fox will be compelled to serve the thief, granting wishes or providing assistance until the ball is returned. But stealing from a kitsune is dangerous business, for these creatures have long memories and creative methods of revenge. Beyond their shape-shifting abilities, which we'll explore more deeply in a moment, kitsune possess other telling weaknesses. Dogs are natural enemies of foxes, and this holds true even for magical ones. A kitsune fears dogs and will often flee from them, sometimes revealing their true nature in panic. Sake, Japanese rice wine, has a peculiar effect on these fox spirits. A drunk kitsune loses control of their illusions and transformations. Their foxtail might slip out from beneath their human clothing, or their ears might poke through their hair. A very religious or spiritually pure person might see through a kitsune's disguise entirely, perceiving the fox nature beneath the human facade. These vulnerabilities provide the only checks on kitsune power, the thin threads by which humans might protect themselves from fox magic gone wrong. Not all kitsune are created equal, and Japanese folklore makes careful distinctions between different types of fox spirits. The most fundamental division splits kitsune into 2 categories, zenko and nogitsune, though the latter are also called yako, or simply wild foxes. Zenko, meaning good foxes, are the benevolent spirits of fox lore. These are the creatures associated with Inari, the important Shinto deity of rice, fertility, and prosperity. Zenko serve as divine messengers, running errands between the earthly realm and the celestial world. They deliver news to pious humans, offer advice in times of crisis, and ward off evil spirits that might threaten shrines or homes. When you see the white fox statues that flank the entrances to Inari shrines throughout Japan, you're looking at representations of zenko. These good foxes are distinguished by their white or golden fur, colors that signify purity and divinity in Japanese culture. They act as guardians and protectors, using their considerable powers for the benefit of humanity. A zenko might guide a lost traveler to safety, warn a family of impending danger, or bless a household with prosperity. They represent the benevolent aspect of the natural world, proof that supernatural power can be channeled. In stark contrast stand the nogitsune or yako, the wild foxes who owe no allegiance to Inari or any other deity. These are the tricksters and troublemakers of fox mythology, the spirits who delight in causing chaos and confusion among humans. A nogitsune might lead travelers astray with false lights in the forest, leaving them wandering in circles until dawn. They're known for possessing people, taking control of human bodies, and making them behave in humiliating ways. According to the most severe interpretations, nogitsune have no redeemable qualities whatsoever, no soul that might be saved. Many folktales focus on nogitsune taking the form of beautiful women to seduce and manipulate powerful men. While feeding on their victims' life force, these fox spirits weave webs of deception that can topple governments and destroy families. The contrast between zenko and nogitsune isn't always absolute, however. Some kitsune occupy the gray area between these extremes, capable of both kindness and cruelty depending on how they're treated by humans. This moral flexibility makes kitsune endlessly fascinating in Japanese storytelling, as characters who might help or hinder depending on their mood and the actions of those around them. Beyond this primary division, Japanese folklore recognizes 13 distinct types of kitsune, each aligned with one of the classical elements. There are wind kitsune, who command storms and conjure tornadoes, their power over air extending to ice and snow. Oath kitsune can move stones, transmute minerals, and construct buildings from raw materials through magic alone. Fire kitsune excel at their element above all others, creating flames from nothing and bending existing fires to their will. River kitsune possess life-giving powers, creating water and healing the sick with their element's regenerative properties. Ocean kitsune control a larger scale of the same power, commanding seas and the creatures within them. Other elemental types include forest kitsune, mountain kitsune, thunder kitsune, and more esoteric varieties like time kitsune and spirit kitsune. Each type wields influence over their particular domain, making kitsune collectively one of the most versatile categories of yokai in Japanese mythology. The powers commanded by kitsune read like a catalog of supernatural abilities, each more impressive than the last. At the foundation of fox magic lies shapeshifting, the art at which kitsune are undisputed masters. The transformation doesn't begin immediately. A kitsune must first reach 100 years of age before gaining the ability to take human form. But once they cross that threshold, the possibilities become nearly limitless. Kitsune most commonly transform into beautiful women, their forms crafted to embody ideal feminine beauty, according to whatever era they inhabit. These fox maidens can maintain their disguise for years or even decades, living entire human lives without detection. They marry human men, raise families, hold jobs, and integrate completely into human society. The disguise is so perfect that even those who live with the kitsune daily might never suspect the truth. Some kitsune prefer to take the form of elderly men, presenting themselves as wise sages whose counsel is sought by those in need. Others might impersonate specific individuals, copying their appearance down to the smallest detail for purposes of infiltration or mischief. The most powerful kitsune aren't limited to human forms. Ancient nine-tailed foxes have been known to appear as impossibly tall trees reaching into the sky, or as second moons hanging in the night heavens. Some can turn invisible entirely, walking unseen among humans while observing and manipulating events. Despite their mastery of transformation, kitsune disguises contain certain limitations. The transformation doesn't grant the innate abilities of the assumed form. A kitsune shaped like a bird cannot truly fly unless they already possess that power separately. They remain vulnerable to whatever can harm their chosen shape. Most tellingly, kitsune must keep their hoshi no tama close even while transformed, which can lead to telltale glowing amulets that observant humans might question. Illusion represents another cornerstone of kitsune power, and in this art they achieve something remarkable. For a kitsune, their illusions are reality. What they create exists fully and completely for both the fox and any who perceive it. A kitsune might conjure an entire mansion from nothing, complete with gardens, servants, and furnishings so real you could cut yourself on the silverware. Guests invited to such phantom estates experience every detail. They eat phantom food that fills their stomachs, sleep in phantom beds that support their weight, and wake refreshed in phantom rooms. The illusion only breaks when the kitsune wills it, or when some disrupting factor like dawn's light or religious power dispels the magic. Suddenly, the guest finds themselves lying in an empty field or abandoned graveyard, their magnificent mansion vanished like morning mist. Kitsune use these illusions for purposes ranging from simple pranks to elaborate schemes. They might make someone believe they've become wealthy overnight, filling their home with gold and silver that transforms back to leaves and stones by morning. Fire magic runs through kitsune nature like a river, with all fox spirits showing particular affinity for the element. Kitsune can create flames from thin air, summoning fire through pure will. The most famous manifestation of this power is kitsune-bi, or foxfire. These mysterious flames appear as floating lights, often blue or green, that drift through forests and over fields at night. In Western folklore, they're called will of the wisps, but in Japan, they're unmistakably foxwork. Kitsune-bi serve multiple purposes. The lights can lead travelers astray, guide the way for fox wedding processions, or simply mark territory where kitsune holds sway. The sight of mysterious lights bobbing through the darkness has sparked countless legends of fox mischief and supernatural gatherings. Possession represents one of the darker aspects of kitsune magic, a power that has terrified Japanese communities throughout history. This affliction, called kitsunetsuki, occurs when a fox spirit takes control of a human body. The symptoms are dramatic and disturbing. The victim begins acting completely out of character, perhaps running through streets naked or giving away all their possessions. They might stuff themselves with food until sick, or speak in voices not their own. Their face might contort into fox-like expressions, and they may develop a sudden craving for foods that foxes prefer. In historical Japan, many mental illnesses were diagnosed as kitsunetsuki. The power doesn't stop there. Kitsune can enter dreams, delivering messages or prophecies to sleeping humans. They possess telepathic abilities, reading thoughts and projecting their own ideas into human minds. As they age and gain tails, their powers expand exponentially. A nine-tailed fox can see and hear everything happening anywhere in the world simultaneously. their awareness extending across vast distances. They might know your deepest secrets, your hidden desires, your most shameful memories, all without you speaking a word. This omniscience makes nine-tailed foxes particularly dangerous, as they can exploit any weakness and anticipate any plan. To understand Kitsune fully, you must understand their connection to one of Japan's most important deities, Inari Okami. Inari holds dominion over rice cultivation, a responsibility that in agrarian Japan meant nothing less than control over life and death. Rice wasn't merely food, it was the foundation of the entire economy, the measure of wealth, the currency of taxation, and the staple that kept people alive through harsh winters. A good rice harvest meant prosperity for an entire region. A failed harvest meant starvation. Thus, Inari, as the protector of rice, commanded tremendous reverence and worship. More than 32,000 Inari shrines dot the Japanese landscape, from major temple complexes to tiny roadside altars. At virtually every one, you'll find fox statues. These stone or wooden representations of Kitsune flank shrine entrances, stand guard over sacred spaces, and gaze out from countless niches and alcoves. They're typically depicted sitting upright, sometimes holding keys in their mouths, representing keys to the rice granary, symbolic of Inari's control over prosperity. Many wear bright red bibs, offerings from worshippers seeking good fortune. The connection between Inari and Kitsune runs so deep that the line between deity and messenger has blurred over centuries. Originally, Kitsune were clearly servants who carried messages for Inari, distinct from the god itself. But as worship evolved, Inari sometimes came to be depicted as a white fox, the deity and the messenger merging in popular imagination. The foxes associated with Inari are always zenko, the benevolent kind. Inari's kitsune are distinguished by their pure white fur, a color that in Japanese culture represents good omens, purity, and divine favor. These sacred foxes possess the power to ward off evil spirits, creating protective barriers around shrines and the homes of faithful worshippers. They don't merely stand guard, they actively intervene on behalf of humans who pray to Inari. When malicious nogitsune cause trouble in a community, local people might pray at an Inari shrine, asking the divine foxes to deal with their wild, troublesome cousins. The sacred white foxes would then hunt down the offending spirits and drive them away, protecting the human community from supernatural predation. The most famous of all Inari shrines stands in Kyoto, Fushimi Inari Taisha. This sprawling complex has become internationally recognizable thanks to its thousands of vermilion torii gates that form tunnels winding up the mountainside. Walking through these gates feels like passing between worlds, the everyday reality of Kyoto City left behind as you ascend into realms where fox spirits dwell. Fox statues appear everywhere at Fushimi Inari, hundreds of them in varying sizes and styles, gifts from worshippers accumulated over centuries. The shrine serves as a pilgrimage site for those seeking prosperity in business, success in endeavors, and protection for their households. Worshippers leave offerings at Inari shrines that reflect both the deity and the messengers. Rice is common, of course, given Inari's role, but a particular favorite of Kitsune appears frequently: abura age, which is fried tofu. Japanese cuisine developed this dish specifically as an offering to fox spirits, based on the belief that Kitsune adore its taste. This culinary connection has become so ingrained in Japanese culture that certain dishes are named after foxes. Kitsune soba and kitsune udon are noodle dishes topped with fried tofu, their names directly referencing the fox's supposed favorite food. The association runs deeper than simple preference. Leaving fried tofu on your doorstep might earn you the favor of a passing kitsune, while shrine offerings of abura age demonstrate respect for the divine fox messengers. Among all the kitsune tales in Japanese mythology, one story stands above the rest in scope, grandeur, and sheer destructive power. This is the legend of Tamamo-no-Mae, one of the Nihon San Dai-aku yokai, the three terrible yokai of Japan. Her story doesn't begin in Japan at all, but stretches back through millennia, across continents, leaving a trail of fallen dynasties and ruined kingdoms in her wake. Approximately 3,500 years ago, in what is now China, a fox was born who would become the most infamous kitsune in all mythology. Her early life remains shrouded in mystery, but she grew in power and malevolence over centuries. She learned the arts of manipulation and seduction, honing her abilities to influence world affairs. After hundreds of years, she achieved the ultimate transformation, becoming a white-faced, golden-furred kyubi no kitsune, a nine-tailed fox with supreme magical power, matched only by her cunning. Her first appearance in recorded history came during China's Shang dynasty, where she took the name Daji. Disguising herself as a breathtakingly beautiful woman, she caught the eye of King Zhao of Shang and became his favorite concubine. What followed was a reign of depravity that became legendary. Daji held wild orgies in the palace gardens, scandalizing the court. But worse than her libertine behavior was her fascination with torture. She invented new methods of inflicting pain, watching with delight as victims suffered through her creative cruelties. Her influence over King Zhao proved absolute. He would deny her nothing, follow her every suggestion, no matter how destructive to his kingdom. Under her malign influence, the Shang dynasty collapsed into chaos and rebellion. The dynasty fell, torn apart from within, and Daji barely escaped with her life, fleeing east as armies closed in. She next appeared in the Magadha kingdom of India around 1046 BCE, where she was known as Lady Kaio. She became a consort of King Kalmashapada, whom Japanese legends call Hanzoku. Here too, her presence brought catastrophe. She convinced the king to execute 1,000 of his subjects, turning a prosperous kingdom into a place of fear and death. Eventually, her true nature was discovered, and she was forced to flee again. The fox spirit returned to China around 780 BCE, this time possessing a woman named Bao Si, who became concubine to King Yu of the Zhao dynasty. Once again, she used her position to sow chaos, manipulating the king until his kingdom teetered on the brink of collapse. The Zhao dynasty's fall is partially attributed to her influence. After being driven out once more, she disappeared from the historical record for centuries, biding her time and perhaps recovering her strength. Finally, around the 12th century CE, the nine-tailed fox set her sights on Japan. She arrived at the imperial court as a young woman of surpassing beauty and mystery. Court records would eventually name her Mikuzume, though she would become famous as Tamamo-no-Mae, which loosely translates to Lady Duckweed. From the moment she entered court, Mikuzume astounded everyone with her brilliance. No question could stump her, whether about music, history, astronomy, religion, or classical Chinese literature. Her clothes remained perpetually clean and unwrinkled, as if she existed above the normal wear of daily life. She always smelled wonderful, her presence bringing pleasant fragrances. Most striking was her face, declared the most beautiful in all Japan. Everyone who saw her loved her instantly. During her 18th year at court, a poetry recital was held in her honor. During the performance, an unexpected storm swept through, extinguishing all the candles and plunging the hall into darkness. Suddenly, light emanated from Mikuzume's own body, illuminating the entire room with otherworldly radiance. The court was awestruck, declaring she must have had an extraordinarily holy previous life. She was given the name Tamamo-no-Mae, and Emperor Konoe, already exceedingly fond of her, made her his consort, but then the emperor fell mysteriously ill. His health deteriorated rapidly, and no priest or fortune teller could identify the cause. Finally, Abe no Yasunari, a powerful onmyoji or diviner, was summoned to read the emperor's fortune. To his horror, he discovered that Tamamo-no-Mae herself was causing the illness. She was a nine-tailed fox in disguise, slowly draining the emperor's life force in a plot to kill him and seize control of Japan. The emperor, though reluctant to believe it, agreed to test her. Abe no Yasunari prepared the Taizan Fukan no Sai, the most secret and powerful spell in Onyodo magic. Tamamo-no-Mae was ordered to participate in the ritual. The reasoning was simple. An evil spirit couldn't possibly take part in such a holy ceremony. Though reluctant, she was persuaded to join. She dressed beautifully and performed her part flawlessly. But as soon as she waved the ceremonial staff, she vanished in a flash of light, confirming every suspicion. Her true nature exposed, she fled the court. Soon after her disappearance, reports came of women and children going missing near the Nasuno Plains in Shimotsuke province. Emperor Konoe, now recovering with Tamamo-no-Mae gone, ordered the two greatest warriors in Japan to hunt down the fox. Muranosuke and Kazusanosuke tracked their quarry across the country. The hunt proved difficult. They faced a nine-tailed fox with centuries of accumulated power and cunning. But one night, as the warriors camped, Tamamo-no-Mae appeared to Muranosuke in a dream. She begged for mercy, pleading for her life. The warrior refused coldly. The next day, they found her. Muranosuke fired 2 arrows, one striking her flank and one her neck. Kazusanosuke swung his blade. The nine-tailed demon fox died. Her centuries-long reign of terror finally ended, but her evil didn't end with her death. 1 year later, Emperor Konoe died without an heir. The following year, his predecessor, Emperor Toba, also died. A succession crisis erupted between different factions, sparking the conflict that would lead to the Genpei War, the end of the Heian period, and the rise of the first shoguns. Even in death, Tamamo-no-Mae's schemes bore bitter fruit. Her spirit wasn't finished, though. It possessed a massive boulder in the Nasu region, transforming it into the Seishoseki, or killing stone. This rock constantly released poisonous gases, killing every living thing that touched it. Plants withered, insects died instantly, birds fell from the sky when they flew too close. The stone remained deadly for centuries until a Buddhist monk named Geno Shinsho performed an exorcism, finally allowing the fox spirit to rest, or so people thought. In March of 2022, the Seishoseki split in two. While geologists attribute it to natural weathering from rainwater penetrating existing cracks, some Japanese people jokingly wondered if Tamamo-no-Mae had been released back into the world. Not all kitsune tales end in destruction and death. Some of the most poignant and beloved stories in Japanese folklore tell of kitsune who fall in love with humans, leading to marriages that blur the boundary between the supernatural and mundane worlds. These tales, categorized as kitsune nyobo or foxwife stories, explore themes of love, identity, and the painful necessity of truth. The oldest surviving foxwife tale provides an interesting folk etymology for the word kitsune itself. According to an ancient legend from the year 545, a man named Ono spent years longing for his ideal of feminine beauty. One evening while crossing a vast moor, he met her, a woman who embodied everything he dreamed of. They married immediately. His happiness seemed complete when their son was born, but strange events began to unfold. Ono's dog, who had given birth to a puppy around the same time, grew increasingly hostile toward Ono's wife. The dog's aggression intensified until one day it attacked the woman. In her panic to escape, she transformed back into her true form, a white fox. The fox fled and was never seen again, but she had loved Ono genuinely. She would return at night to nurse their child when she thought no one was watching. Ono eventually glimpsed her during one of these visits and begged her to come back, but she could not. The shame of her true nature being revealed made it impossible for her to remain. The story suggests that Kitsune might mean came to bedroom, referencing how the fox would sneak in to care for their child. The tale of Kuzunoha provides another famous example of fox-wife romance. This story gives origin to one of Japan's most celebrated historical figures, Abe no Seimei, who would become the greatest onmyoji or sorcerer in Japanese history. According to legend, a man saved a fox from being attacked by hunters. The grateful fox later appeared to him in the form of a beautiful woman named Kuzunoha. They married and she bore him a son, the future Abe no Seimei. She lived happily as a human wife for years, raising her child and managing the household. But one day, in a moment of distraction, her fox nature was revealed. Following the tragic pattern of these tales, Kuzunoha knew she had to leave. Before departing, she left a poem for her son, expressing her sorrow and love. Despite the separation, Kuzunoha's sacrifice gave Seimei both human and fox nature, granting him extraordinary magical powers that he would use to protect Japan. The White Fox of Shinoda Shrine tells yet another variation on this theme. A white fox transformed into a woman and married a human man who never suspected her true nature. Their love was genuine and deep, and they built a life together. However, when circumstances eventually revealed her as a kitsune, the social pressure and supernatural rules forced her to leave her human family behind. The tale emphasizes not deception, but genuine emotion. These fox wives truly loved their human husbands and children. Their relationships weren't tricks or schemes, but real connections that transcended the boundary between fox and human. These stories share common elements that reveal Japanese attitudes toward kitsune and relationships. The fox wife always appears as an ideal woman, beautiful, skilled, devoted. She makes a perfect spouse, managing the household excellently and caring for family with deep affection. The relationship only falls apart when her true nature is discovered, not because she wishes to leave, but because the revelation makes it impossible for her to stay. Dogs often feature as the exposing element, their natural enmity toward foxes overriding years of disguise. The stories also frequently involve children, half-human offspring, who carry both natures within them. What makes these tales particularly moving is their emotional honesty. Unlike the destructive fox demons of other legends, these kitsune genuinely love the humans they live with. They don't seek to drain life force or manipulate for power. They simply want to experience human connection, to love and be loved in return. The tragedy lies not in betrayal, but in the impossibility of bridging two worlds permanently. These stories remind us that some barriers cannot be crossed. Some differences cannot be overcome, no matter how deep the love between two beings. The fox wife must return to her true nature, and the human husband must accept that the woman he loved was never entirely what she seemed, yet was also never false in her feelings. Japanese folklore contains a peculiar meteorological belief that perfectly encapsulates the whimsical nature of Kitsune mythology. When rain falls while the sun still shines, creating what many Western cultures call a sun shower, the Japanese traditionally explained this strange phenomenon as a kitsune no yomeri, a fox wedding. According to this charming belief, somewhere nearby, a kitsune is getting married, and the unusual weather marks the joyous supernatural celebration. The association between foxes and sun showers isn't unique to Japan. Similar beliefs exist in Korea, parts of India, and various other cultures worldwide. But the Japanese developed this concept into rich folklore. The kitsune bride and groom would process from one location to another, their wedding party invisible to human eyes, but leaving traces in the natural world. The sunlight represented the joy and celebration, while the rain symbolized the tears, not of sorrow, but of overwhelming emotion at such an important life event. This belief connects to another mysterious phenomenon that has puzzled Japanese people for centuries. Kitsunebe, the fox fire. On dark nights, particularly in mountainous or forested regions, people would sometimes see strange lights drifting through the darkness. These ghostly flames, often blue or green in color, would float through the air like lanterns carried by invisible hands. They might appear as a single light or as long processions of dozens of flames moving in formation. The lights seemed to have purpose and direction, following paths through the wilderness as if carried by travelers on some important journey. Foxfire became strongly associated with kitsune weddings. When villagers saw these mysterious lights processing across fields or through forests, they would say a fox wedding was taking place. The lights were the lanterns of the wedding party, invisible fox spirits celebrating one of their own getting married. Some reports described hearing music accompanying the lights, flutes and drums, playing wedding songs that faded in and out of audibility. Others claimed to glimpse shadowy figures in the procession if they looked from the corner of their eye, though the visions disappeared when viewed directly. Modern science offers explanations for these mysterious lights. In some cases, they might have been bioluminescent organisms or the glow from decaying organic matter. Marsh gas, or will-o'-the-wisps, created by spontaneous ignition of methane from decomposing plant material, could produce floating lights in wetland areas. Ball lightning, while rare, might account for some sightings. However, the consistency of reports across centuries and regions suggests that people were observing something real, even if supernatural explanations weren't accurate. The tradition of kitsune weddings lives on in modern Japan, particularly in the city of Niigata. The Sugawa Kitsune no Yomeiri Gyoretsu, or Fox Wedding Procession Festival, takes place annually. Participants dress in traditional wedding attire and elaborate fox masks, recreating what ancient Japanese people imagined fox weddings might look like. The bride and groom, portrayed by local residents, lead a procession through the streets, accompanied by attendants, musicians, and others in fox costume. Lanterns light the way, evoking the mysterious fox fires of legend. The festival draws thousands of spectators and has become an important cultural event, preserving folklore traditions while celebrating local identity. These wedding traditions reveal a gentler, more playful side of kitsune mythology. Not every fox spirit story involves possession, destruction, or heartbreak. Sometimes kitsune simply live their lives parallel to humans, falling in love and celebrating unions just as mortals do. The sun showers and mysterious lights remind people that the supernatural world exists alongside the mundane, occasionally revealing itself through small anomalies that hint at larger mysteries. The darker aspect of kitsune interaction with humans manifests most dramatically in kitsunetsuki, fox possession. This phenomenon terrified Japanese communities for centuries and shaped how people understood mental illness and abnormal behavior. When someone began acting strangely, exhibiting symptoms we might now attribute to psychological conditions or neurological disorders, the traditional explanation was often that a kitsune had taken control of their body. The symptoms of kitsunetsuki were varied and often dramatic. A possessed person might suddenly develop an insatiable appetite, consuming enormous quantities of food with no regard for social propriety or their own physical comfort. They might strip off their clothes and run naked through the streets, immune to shame or social conventions. Their voice could change entirely, speaking in tones and manners completely unlike their normal speech patterns. The possessed might babble incoherently, switching between topics with no logical connection, or speak in languages they supposedly didn't know. Physical manifestations included their face taking on fox-like qualities. Their eyes might narrow and take on a vulpine cast. Their mouth might stretch in ways human mouths shouldn't, their movements becoming more animal-like. Some possessed individuals would claim to see things invisible to others, or demonstrate knowledge they couldn't possibly possess. Particularly telling symptoms involved fox-like preferences and behaviors. The victim might develop a sudden craving for foods that foxes enjoy, especially fried tofu, or an aversion to things that repel foxes. They might show fear of dogs, even becoming hysterical in the presence of canines they'd previously tolerated. In some cases, the possessed person would claim to be a specific fox spirit, identifying themselves by name and explaining why they had taken control of the human body. These declarations sometimes included detailed information about events the human couldn't know, lending credence to the supernatural explanation in the minds of witnesses. Historical records show that kitsunetsuki diagnoses were particularly common during the Edo period, roughly 1600 to 1868. Women were diagnosed with fox possession more frequently than men, and scholars now recognize this as reflecting social attitudes toward female behavior. A woman who acted outside prescribed social roles, who became too assertive or too sexualized, might be accused of possession. This diagnosis conveniently explained away behavior that challenged social norms while providing a solution: exorcism that would theoretically return the woman to proper behavior. The treatment for kitsunetsuki involved elaborate exorcism rituals performed by Buddhist priests, Shinto shrine maidens, or specialized practitioners. One common method involved the ritual of the 3 effigies. The exorcist would create 3 small human figures from paper or cloth, each representing the possessed person. These effigies would be subjected to various torments, pricked with needles, held over flames, or struck with implements. The theory held that the fox spirit within the human would feel these torments through sympathetic magic and be motivated to leave the body to escape the pain. During the ritual, the exorcist would often engage in negotiation with the possessing fox, speaking to it directly and asking why it had possessed the person and what it would take to make it leave. Shrine maiden seances provided another approach. A miko, or Shinto shrine maiden, would enter a trance state and become a medium through which the possessing fox could speak more clearly. The fox might explain that it had been wronged by the possessed person or their family. Perhaps its den had been destroyed, or it had been injured by the person in some past encounter. The miko would negotiate terms for the fox's departure, which might include offerings at an Inari shrine, creation of a small shrine dedicated to the fox spirit, or promises to leave food offerings regularly. Buddhist exorcisms took a more confrontational approach, using prayers, mantras, and holy implements to forcibly expel the fox spirit. Monks would chant sutras continuously, sometimes for days, surrounding the possessed person with religious power that would become increasingly uncomfortable for the invading spirit. Holy water might be sprinkled on the victim, or they might be made to drink it. Strips of paper with sacred inscriptions would be placed around their body or the room. The goal was to make the human body so inhospitable through accumulated spiritual pressure that the fox would have no choice but to flee. Modern medical understanding recognizes that many kitsunetsuki cases were likely epilepsy, schizophrenia, dissociative identity disorder, hysteria, or other psychological and neurological conditions. The symptoms described in historical accounts align remarkably well with various mental health conditions recognized today. However, this doesn't entirely dismiss the cultural significance of kitsunetsuki. The belief system provided a framework for understanding and addressing behaviors that seemed inexplicable in pre-modern medical terms. It also offered hope. If the problem was spiritual possession, rather than an incurable condition of the person themselves, then exorcism offered a path to healing. Whether the cure worked through spiritual means or through the psychological impact of ritual and communal support. Many possessed individuals did seem to recover after exorcism, allowing them to reintegrate into society. The influence of Kitsune mythology on Japanese culture cannot be overstated. These fox spirits have woven themselves into virtually every aspect of Japanese artistic and literary expression across more than a millennium. During the Heian period, roughly 794 to 1185, kitsune began appearing regularly in literature and poetry. Aristocratic authors would reference fox spirits in their works, using them as metaphors for deception, transformation, or dangerous beauty. The courtly romances of the era sometimes featured fox wives, exploring themes of identity and the pain of secrets revealed. As Japan transitioned through various historical periods, kitsune stories evolved to reflect changing social concerns and values. The medieval period saw an increase in tales emphasizing the dangerous aspects of fox spirits, perhaps reflecting the chaos and uncertainty of an age marked by warfare. These stories often featured kitsune as malevolent entities that needed to be defeated by brave warriors or clever priests, providing reassurance that supernatural threats could be overcome through human courage and spiritual power. The Edo period brought an explosion of kitsune content across multiple artistic mediums. This was the golden age of fox folklore, when the mythology reached its fullest development and widest dissemination. Publishers in Edo, modern-day Tokyo, produced countless books featuring kitsune tales. Some were moralistic stories warning against the dangers of deception, while others were entertaining adventures or romantic tragedies. The printing revolution meant these stories could reach a much wider audience than ever before, spreading kitsune lore from the aristocratic and priestly classes to common merchants and farmers. Japanese theater embraced kitsune characters enthusiastically. In No theater, the oldest form of Japanese dramatic art, fox spirits appeared as both sympathetic and threatening figures. The measured, ritualistic style of No was perfectly suited to depicting the otherworldly nature of kitsune, with masks and stylized movements suggesting transformation and supernatural presence. Kabuki theater, with its more dramatic and colorful style, featured numerous plays about fox spirits. Some of the most popular kabuki performances even today involve kitsune characters. Actors would use special techniques to suggest transformation scenes, with elaborate costume changes and stage tricks that delighted audiences. Bunraku, the puppet theater tradition, also incorporated kitsune stories, with skilled puppeteers bringing fox spirits to life through intricate movements. Visual arts celebrated kitsune imagery extensively. Woodblock print artists of the ukiyo-e tradition frequently depicted fox spirits in their work. Some prints showed beautiful women who were secretly kitsune, their fox nature hinted at through subtle details. A shadow showing a tail, a reflection revealing the truth, or simply the knowing expression in the subject's eyes. Other prints depicted foxes in their animal form, often as messengers at Inari shrines or as mystical creatures surrounded by supernatural flames. The artist Utagawa Kuniyoshi created particularly striking images of kitsune, including prints showing fox spirits transformed into various shapes, and dramatic scenes of exorcisms. Kitsune became subjects for skilled painters working in both traditional Japanese and Chinese-influenced styles. Hanging scrolls might show white foxes as divine messengers, rendered with delicate brushwork that emphasized their spiritual nature. Folding screens sometimes featured entire narratives about kitsune across multiple panels, allowing viewers to follow a story from transformation to revelation to resolution. These artworks served both decorative and didactic purposes, beautifying homes and temples while reinforcing cultural knowledge about fox spirits. The connection between kitsune and food culture, particularly the association with fried tofu, influenced Japanese cuisine in lasting ways. Dishes named after foxes became standard offerings at noodle restaurants throughout Japan. The practice of leaving food offerings at Inari shrines continues today, with people bringing not just traditional rice, but also the fried tofu that fox spirits supposedly love. This culinary tradition creates a tangible link between ancient mythology and daily life, reminding modern Japanese people of their cultural heritage every time they order kitsune udon. Religious practices centering on Inari and fox spirits have persisted and even expanded over the centuries. The thousands of Inari shrines across Japan continue to receive regular worship, with people praying for business success, good harvests, and general prosperity. The fox statues at these shrines receive careful maintenance, with worshippers cleaning them, replacing worn red bibs, and leaving fresh offerings. New Inari shrines continue to be built even in the 21st century, demonstrating that the tradition remains vital rather than merely preserved. The 20th and 21st centuries have seen kitsune mythology adapt to new media and spread far beyond Japan's borders. Rather than fading as Japan modernized and embraced scientific worldviews, kitsune stories found new life in contemporary entertainment while maintaining connections to traditional folklore. Anime and manga, the Japanese animation and comic art forms that have achieved global popularity, feature kitsune extensively. Countless series include fox spirit characters, ranging from comic relief to serious romantic interests to powerful antagonists. Some anime treat kitsune mythology with deep respect, carefully incorporating traditional elements and exploring the philosophical implications of beings caught between human and animal nature. Others take a more playful approach, using kitsune as cute mascot characters or as sources of magical powers in fantasy adventures. Popular examples include characters like Kurama from Yu Yu Hakusho, a nine-tailed fox demon with a complex relationship to humanity, or Tomoe from Kami-sama Kiss, who explores the romantic possibilities of a fox-human relationship in a modern setting. Video games have embraced kitsune imagery and mythology extensively. The Pokemon franchise features several fox-inspired creatures, with Ninetales being perhaps the most directly based on kitsune mythology. This golden fox Pokemon possesses 9 tails and mystical powers, clearly drawing from traditional nine-tailed fox legends. The game Okami makes kitsune and other yokai central to its plot, while maintaining a respectful approach to the source mythology. Players control a sun goddess in wolf form, interacting with various fox spirits throughout the adventure. Numerous other games feature kitsune as characters, enemies, or player options, from Japanese role-playing games to Western-developed titles that incorporate Asian mythology. A global spread of anime, manga, and video games has introduced kitsune to audiences worldwide. People who have never visited Japan and might struggle to locate it on a map nevertheless know about nine-tailed foxes and their magical abilities. This cultural export has created interesting hybrid understandings, where Western fans might combine kitsune lore with European or American fox folklore, creating new interpretations that diverge from Japanese origins while maintaining core elements. Contemporary Japanese popular culture continues creating new kitsune content that speaks to modern concerns while drawing on traditional stories. Romance novels and manga explore relationships between fox spirits and humans, updating the old fox wife tales for contemporary audiences. Horror films and novels use kitsune as antagonists, playing on ancient fears of possession and deception. Comedy series might feature bumbling kitsune who can't quite master their transformation abilities, creating humor from the contrast between their mythological status and their practical incompetence. The internet age has enabled new forms of kitsune appreciation and creativity. Online communities dedicated to yokai and Japanese folklore discuss kitsune extensively, sharing traditional stories and creating fan content. Artists post illustrations of fox spirits, ranging from faithful representations based on historical sources to wildly creative reinterpretations. Writers craft fan fiction exploring kitsune characters from existing media or creating entirely new fox spirit narratives. This digital folk culture represents a continuation of the storytelling tradition that has kept kitsune alive for over 1,000 years. Adapted to modern communication technologies, Japanese tourism has increasingly leveraged kitsune mythology to attract visitors. The Fushimi Inari Taisha in Kyoto has become one of Japan's most photographed locations, with visitors from around the world coming to walk through its thousands of torii gates and photograph its fox statues. The Zao Fox Village in Miyagi Prefecture allows visitors to observe over 100 semi-wild foxes, creating opportunities for people to encounter real foxes while learning about kitsune mythology. Various regions host festivals featuring fox-themed events, from the wedding procession in Niigata to numerous smaller local celebrations. Food culture continues evolving around kitsune associations. The simple naming of tofu-topped noodle dishes after foxes has expanded into theme restaurants and cafes decorated with fox imagery, serving fox-themed dishes and creating immersive experiences based on kitsune mythology. These establishments might feature staff in fox masks or ears, decor incorporating traditional fox art, and menus telling stories about different kitsune while presenting dishes named after famous fox spirits. Academic interest in kitsune has grown as folklore studies and yokai research have expanded. Scholars examine these myths for what they reveal about historical Japanese society, gender roles, religious syncretism, and cultural values. International academic conferences on Japanese folklore regularly feature presentations about kitsune, and numerous papers and books have been published analyzing fox spirit mythology from anthropological, literary, and religious studies perspectives. As we reach the end of our journey through kitsune mythology, certain themes emerge that explain why these fox spirits have maintained their grip on human imagination for over a millennium. At their core, kitsune embody duality and contradiction in ways that speak to fundamental human experiences. They are simultaneously animal and supernatural, beautiful and dangerous, faithful and deceptive, protectors and predators. This complexity makes them endlessly fascinating, offering new interpretations and meanings across different contexts and eras. The kitsune represent the boundary between civilization and wilderness, between the human world and the natural realm. In ancient Japan, foxes literally lived at this boundary, in the forests and fields surrounding human settlements. They existed close enough to be familiar, yet remained fundamentally wild and unknowable. This physical reality translated into mythological significance, with kitsune coming to symbolize all things that exist between categories, that resist simple classification. They challenge binary thinking, reminding us that reality contains infinite shades of gray between pure good and absolute evil. The transformation abilities of kitsune speak to universal human concerns about identity and authenticity. How well do we truly know anyone? The person we love? The neighbor we trust? The leader we follow? Could they be hiding their true nature behind a carefully constructed facade? Kitsune stories externalize these anxieties, making them literal rather than metaphorical. Yet they also offer a strange comfort, suggesting that even the most successful deception must eventually fail. That truth has a way of revealing itself given time. The connection between Kitsune and Inari demonstrates how mythology can serve practical purposes, providing frameworks for understanding the natural world and human society's relationship with it. By making foxes sacred messengers of the rice deity, Japanese culture elevated these animals from pests to be tolerated to sacred beings to be honored. This spiritual dimension likely helped protect fox populations and encouraged people to see these animals as part of a larger cosmic order rather than merely competition for resources. The tragic romance of fox wife tales speaks to the impossibility of maintaining illusions forever, the bittersweet nature of love that crosses boundaries, and the pain of secrets between intimate partners. These stories resonate across cultures because they address universal emotional experiences, even while the specific details remain distinctly Japanese. The faithful wife who must leave despite genuine love because her true nature has been revealed could represent any relationship where discovery of truth forces separation, any love that society deems impossible or inappropriate. Even in the 21st century, in an age of science and technology, Kitsune mythology remains vibrantly alive. The stories have proven remarkably adaptable, finding new forms while retaining their essential character. Whether appearing in traditional shrine worship, contemporary anime, global video games, or internet fan communities, Kitsune continue to captivate and inspire. They remind us that myths don't simply die when societies modernize. They evolve, finding new contexts and new meanings while maintaining connections to ancient wisdom. The next time you see a fox, whether in a forest, a zoo, or even just a photograph, consider the weight of mythology it carries. For over 1,000 years, these animals have represented something more than themselves, serving as bridges between the mundane and the magical, the mortal and the divine. The Kitsune endure because they speak to something fundamental in human consciousness, our need to believe that the world contains more than what we see on the surface, that mystery and magic might lurk just beyond the edge of perception, that transformation and transcendence remain possible even in an age that tries to explain everything away. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the mystical world of Kitsune mythology, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to History Scrolls for more fascinating explorations of world mythology and folklore. Drop a comment below telling us your favorite Kitsune story, or if you've encountered these fox spirits in any games, anime, or other media. Until next time, keep exploring the incredible stories that humans have told throughout history. And remember, sometimes the fox you see might be more than it appears.